Let's talk to Jim in Texas. You're on the air, Jim.
Hey, Alex. How you doing?
I'm all right, brother. What's on your mind today?
Well, there's so much. I'll try to just touch on a couple of things. Sometimes an allegory, which is what you're talking about in the Matrix, can get through to a person's subconscious when they've been programmed or brainwashed, when facts cannot. That is the reason why stories such as the Matrix, or you can even go back thousands of years to Socrates and Plato, such as the cave in the Republic, chapter 7.
Yeah, that's what the Truman Show is.
Right. They're trying to expose all these things through fables and allegories, because a lot of people, when they're subconsciously brainwashed,
now they're comfortable with their servitude because their subconscious brain is a lot more powerful than their conscious. So everybody knows they're in a Matrix/Truman Show. They're in a Truman Show being inserted into an actual Matrix. That's the Pentagon plan from the 1960s, declassified in January of 2000. But you're absolutely right. And go ahead.
Well, I was just, I just find it really interesting that even Orwell, who his real name, of course, was Eric Blair, who was the son of a British nobleman officer in the Bengal Wars. He learned early that this was all a fraud, and whether you were told that socialism, communism, capitalism, or whatever was the way, it was all lies meant to deceive you, because we were all being controlled by the same apex of the pyramid. And whether you're talking about economically, socially, politically, it's all a Ponzi scheme based upon a pyramid scheme. That's what our whole world is, and I congratulate you on pointing that out. Let me say to your earlier caller, Lawrence, there's been people since Socrates' time, or all the way back to, you can go back to 1960 and read Vance Packard, Waste Makers. There's so much information out there. Alex, you do the greatest job by far of enlightening people onto this stuff. But I hate to say it, my friend, we are losing, and we are casting, for the most part, our pearls before swine. And I believe right now is the time that the Lord Jesus Christ talked about, when those who will listen had better flee these cities and prepare, because this is the last thing I want to say. Real history. This is real history. In World War II, from Stalingrad all the way to Warsaw, Danzig, all through the Eastern Bloc nations, those people were under siege for years in those cities. After the first year, there was nothing left to eat. They ate the rats. They ate the dead. After the second year, they were coming out in gangs out of the sewers and attacking and eating people by night. You people better wake up out there. You're not going to listen, but you better get the hell out of these big metropolitan cities and get yourself, to some degree, able to sustain yourself with water and food. And this is a final warning. I believe you're right, Alex, that World War III is right on the horizon, and that is the only way that these elite people have out of
Every
this.
time they're going to lose power, Lord Milner in 1918 said, at the end of World War I, we're going to hire a German dictator and have him wreck Europe in the next 20 years, and they did it. I mean, the British intel put the communist in. That's the reason they're so hard to beat, is they will hire Mao Zedong and have him kill 64 to 80+ million, depending on the numbers you look at, just to get power. They enjoy it. Human life means nothing to them. And I agree with you. It is good to get self-sufficient. It is essential. And they are courting World War III right now. They are seriously looking at it. We'll be right back. Jim in Texas brought up World War III type scenarios, and a lot of mainline analysts say that a strike on Iran runs from bad to worse. I mean, they all agree that it runs from very serious repercussions to all-out thermonuclear war with China and Russia. Now, the globalists aren't going to move against Iran unless they've gotten Russia and China to sign off on that. At least common sense would say that. But remember, Cheney launched the 888 attack, and it's now been declassified, that he did want to start a nuclear war with Russia. So there's some truly insane people inside the power structure. The more insane, the more bold, the people with more bravado, more hubris, more chutzpah, whatever word you want to use, crazy confidence, tend to get into positions of power. And what concerns me is you see Dr. Eric Pianka, Dr. Peter Singer, Al Gore, all these different shows on Discovery Channel about the end of humanity, the end of humans, how great the world would be. I mean, here's two headlines today. Professor, only global governance can save us from a century of chaos. And that's out of the Daily Mail. And then the professor goes on to say total collapse by 2014 or before, a world war, that it will happen, that humans always do this. Well, the elites are implementing it right now. And I'm not just saying that. I have the Rand Corporation saying that they need a new war. I mean, you see them gearing up for it. You see them saying they're about to have a blockade of Iran. That's an act of war, as Ron Paul has said on the House floor. Not just me saying that. That's what the law says. Look at this. Harold Sun, our own extinction is forecast within 100 years. But that's a good thing, the Australian, basically reports. You read the whole article, because humans are bad. We're too stupid. See, the globalists are in hundreds of movies the last decade, literally hundreds. Hundreds. It's got to be 10 or 15 the last year about the end of the world and apocalypse. They are conditioning the subconscious mind to accept mass death and corruption so that you will just lay down and take it. Oh, it's the end of the world. Now, I am a Christian. I am Bible believing, and I think it's very profound and makes Nostradamus look like a piker. But it is misinterpreted and it is twisted and it is used. Christians in Nazi Germany laid down because they thought it was the end of the world. Christians in China, most of them laid down. They thought it was the end of the world. They thought Mao was the Antichrist. Christians in North Korea are almost extinct because they think the communist regime is the Antichrist. Well, in a way, if you actually read the Bible, it says there are many Antichrist. Antichrist spirit, but only one who will become world ruler. And whether you believe in God or not, the globalists are into the occult. The UN says they are going to have 10 global regions with 10 kingdoms. I mean, they are following Revelation as a blueprint. The world ID card, face scan, handprint to buy and sell, holograms, the beast computer speaking in Jerusalem and being seen by all the people of the world simultaneously, giant metal dragonflies and locusts dropping pillars of fire on cities. I mean, it's science fiction written almost 2,000 years ago on the Isle of Patmos. If John the Revelator was on a drug, I want some of what he was on. This isn't Isaac Asimov predicting high-tech systems 60 years ago, and he was a visionary. His Foundation series is about computer programs being able to predict the future, which they already have now. That's admitted. They admit 93 to 97% accuracy in predicting where you're going to do, where you're going to go, how long you're going to stay somewhere, what you're going to do, with total precision. They're not telling you that they have it even more advanced. Near total precision. They're not telling you it's even more advanced. Of predictive mapping on how you behave, what you do. The government knows what website you're going to visit before you visit it. They know your rhythms. They know your patterns. They understand you. And so they are reaching a counterfeit level of omnipresence. It isn't real. They're still weak humans. They're still passion-driven by their id, by their ego, by their subconscious. They're still the wild beast, the wild primitive, out taking heads of their enemies. But now they've got atom bombs, hydrogen bombs. They've got computerized crystal balls. They've got superconducting, supercolliding cyclotrons. Now they've got space planes. Now they've got predictive computer systems. Now they've got race-specific bioweapons. They're Bill Gates. They're on power trips. And so you have the Federal Reserve more and more buying its own debt, but then more debt's created for us. The Treasury offers money, and the Federal Reserve comes in and buys it itself. And that was one of the best lines last night out of Slimeballs, this little special that they hyped for a month. was that they said some people in the Tea Party want to get rid of all government. They say it's a tyranny. They cut to me saying it's a tyranny. Some people want to get rid of all government. They want to end the Fed. And then they cut to Rand Paul saying "in the Fed" in a speech, knowing the average moron that watches MSNBC. I mean, you've really got to be a moron if you watch MSNBC and you believe that that isn't cartoon-level propaganda. It's more cartoonish than Fox News now because it's defending the establishment. It seemed a little more sane when it was playing the part of the anti-establishment during Bush. Now, Fox seems more sane playing the part of the anti-establishment. As soon as the Republicans back in, they'll be pro-establishment. But, I mean, did you miss what I just said, some of you out there that are new listeners? It's very simple. In the Fed means in the private Federal Reserve. But Chris Matthews, and this is a quote,